It has been a long-drawn debate over a national minimum wage in Nigeria. In 2010, the Nigeria Labour Congress clamored for the upward review of the national minimum wage after a series of protests and strikes. The National Minimum Wage Act is finally signed into law in 2011, mandating employers in the country to pay 19,000 naira. Afterwards, it is downward reviewed to 18,000 naira. Even at this point, many states could not pay.
On the occasion of our 57th independent anniversary, we must again ask the federal government to reconstitute the National Minimum Wage Negotiating Council to enable us to negotiate a new minimum wage for this country urgently. The 2011 collective agreement entered into with government at the end of the last negotiation provides for a 5-year cycle for reopening negotiation, which is long overdue. Secondly, all economic indices such as inflation rates, cost of living index, exchange rate, high cost of goods and services, etc., have all shown that the current wage of 18,000 is obsolete.
Protests after protests, strike after strike continued. It is more than 5 years as stipulated by the Constitution for the minimum wage to be reviewed. After several protests and strikes, which has become a strategy to get the federal government's ears, a tripartite committee is set up.
My hope is that the outcome of the deliberations of the committee would be consensual and generally acceptable. I therefore urge you to amicably consider the issue of a national minimum wage and all matters that are ancillary to it with thoroughness and concern, not only for the welfare of our workforce, but the effect of the country's economy. The subject of a national minimum wage for the Federation is within the exclusive legislative list of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Accordingly, we should aim to go above the basic social protection floor for all Nigerian workers based on the ability of each tier of government to pay. I say this because minimum wage is the minimum amount of compensation an employee must receive for putting in his or her labor, and as such should be anchored on social justice and equity.
The organized labor, organized private sector, and representatives of the Governors Forum deliberate over a new minimum wage and finally pegs it on 30,000 naira. November 6, 2018, the report on the review of the new minimum wage of 30,000 naira is submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari by the chairman of the committee, Amal Pepple, at the council chamber of the presidential villa in Abuja.
After carefully weighing these critical factors and bearing in mind the overriding interests of the economy, the committee, while noting the offer of 24,000 by the federal government, is recommending an increase in the existing national minimum wage from 18,000 naira to 30,000 naira. We believe that the implementation of the recommended minimum wage will no doubt boost the purchasing power of workers, increase consumption expenditure, and ultimately stimulate business and overall economic growth.
Since 2011, many changes have taken place. Nigeria rebased its GDP to become the largest economy in Africa. We reported very strong GDP growth rates, and exceptional performance of our capital markets. However, these reported successes do not flow into the pockets and homes of majority of Nigerians. In the last 3 years, we focused on correcting this deficiency. We are working to create a diversified and inclusive economy. We are pushing to clear pension areas owed to our retired workers with the limited resources available to us. We supported state governments to pay workers' salary. And of course, we set up a committee in order to review the minimum wage of workers. In constituting this committee, we took into account the need for all stakeholders to be adequately represented: the government, the private sector, and most importantly, the workers. Our goal was to get an outcome that was consensual.
According to the report, high cost of living, inflation, and the exchange rate are duly considered for the salary upgrade. The tripartite committee also puts together a draft bill to be transmitted to the National Assembly.
In a way, both arguments are valid. I want to assure you all that we will immediately put in place the necessary machinery that will close out these open areas. Our plan is to transmit the executive bill to the National Assembly for the passage within the shortest possible time. I am fully committed to having a new National Minimum Wage Act in the very near future. Let me use this opportunity to recognize the leadership of the organized labor and private sector, as well as representatives of state and federal government for all your hard work.
The President announces that a technical committee would be inaugurated to further review the new national minimum wage. This does not go down well with labor union leaders, who immediately meet in Lagos speaking tough.
We reject in its entirety the plan by the federal government to set up another high-powered technical committee on the new national minimum wage. We view this as a diversionary tactic and also a process that will not deliver a new minimum wage on time. Nigerian workers are urged to be vigilant and be prepared to campaign and vote against any candidate and political party who are not in supportive of the implementation of a new national minimum wage. Finally, organized labor will not guarantee industrial peace and harmony if after 31st of December 2018, the draft bill is not transmitted to the National Assembly for its consideration. These serve as statutory notice for organized labor to recall its suspended nationwide industrial action. We therefore want to once again thank our workers and their families for the patience they have endured, because we could recall that the new minimum wage is actually due since 2016.